Can you tell us your name and your organization?
Sure, my name is Daniel and I am a co-founder at Facet.
Amazing. Daniel, we're here at the sidelines of Web Summit in Qatar. How are you finding the event so far?
Very cool, actually. I've met a lot of people that I've seen before, and I've met a lot of new faces as well. I just had a panel discussion on Islamic Fintech as well. It's been great.
Amazing. And Daniel, you're part of Facet. Could you tell our viewers and listeners what exactly is Facet and who are you?
Sure. Look, we're trying to build a global Islamic digital bank. So we currently operate across 125 markets globally, have over 500,000 customers, doing roughly $1 billion of volume a month. And look, our goal is one thing and one thing only: enable good, real financial services use cases using digital asset and crypto.
Amazing. And Daniel, what do you think the biggest opportunities are for Islamic Fintech in 2026?
Look, there's a lot of opportunities. I think the space is still quite young. Any way and any place that we can enable more use cases, more funding, more, even from a regulatory perspective, more regulation that brings clarity to the space. Anything and everything can help the space. And I think right now we're still at a nascent stage for Islamic Fintech. Long way to go, but things are getting in the right direction.
And what kind of opportunities do you think there are for things like digitalization and tokenization within Islamic finance and Islamic Fintech?
This is something that we've been thinking about for nearly 10 years at this point. A lot of opportunities, right? At the end of the day, Islamic economics and Islamic finance is predicated on real assets and real utility, which is where I come back to again, which is about bringing real utility to people using the technology that we have, not just a token that has no value. So if you can bring tokens or tokenized assets that have a real underlying infrastructure to it, that's inherently Islamic, right? So I'll give you an example today. For instance, we sell tokenized gold, tokenized Islamic bonds, tokenized stocks that are Shariah-compliant on our platform today. Something we want to do very quickly is creating means for people to take loans, Shariah-compliant loans on the back of that as well. So you take your tokenized gold, we collateralize it, and we give you a loan on the back of that. Those are the kind of opportunities that exist with crypto and blockchain.
And what are your thoughts on things like artificial intelligence and Islamic finance? Do you see it as a threat or do you see it as an opportunity?
Look, AI is like any other technology. The internet was also a technology. Blockchain is also a technology. It's always about enablement and enabling. It's not a threat to Islamic finance. It's something that people in Islamic finance and Islamic Fintech need to use to actually improve what we do. On the panel, we had a discussion with Rafiuddin from Business Standard. He was talking about how AI, the winners of the retail Islamic Fintech space will be those that can use AI to enable a lower cost of acquisition of customers. So I think those are the kind of things that we can do with artificial intelligence.
And just more broadly, what do you think the challenges are for things like Islamic Fintech and other digital platforms within the Islamic economy? What do you think the main challenges are?
Look, it's the same challenges that exist in Islamic finance more generally, right? There's always questions around Sharia compliance. There's always questions around, how do we ensure uniformity of that between different countries? So I think that's a big challenge. And then I think there's challenges that exist that are not related to the Islam part. It's just general challenges for any startup or any fintech, whether it's funding, whether it's regulation, whether it's customers. Those are the general challenges that every company goes through, and I think those exist for Islamic finance as well. So.
And just to wrap up, what do you think? What message do you have for any investors who are looking at Islamic fintechs? Because obviously we saw the news that MAL got received a pre-seed funding of 230 million from investors. What message do you have for investors looking at Islamic fintechs?
That's a good question. I think the message I have is that we've gone out of the stage where Islamic fintech and Islamic finance was nascent and new. There's a lot of development that's happened, as you mentioned. We're seeing more and more rounds and more money that is coming in. So these are good signs of growth in the space. So if you're an investor, you have capital, be on the lookout, go to events like this, and you'll find some interesting opportunities.
Amazing. And how can people find out about Facet?
www.facet.com.
Thanks.
Okay.
Could you tell us your name and your organization?
I'm Rehan Ahmed and I'm with HalalStocks.
Amazing. Rehan, we're here today at the Web Summit, and we've had a really interesting day one. How have you found the conference so far?
Alhamdulillah, it's been incredible. There's so many high quality people here. Obviously, all the startup scene is here from Qatar, as well as all the big tech players as well. So very, very diverse set of attendees, and everything from AI to media to finance to investments to startups, it's all here. So it's really, really big, mashallah.
And Rehan, you're very involved in the HalalStocks screening business. Tell us more about that.
Sure. So we've been screening portfolios for around 7 years now, but in market we've been updating our screening criteria. Obviously we start with Sharia compliance, and then we add layers of ESG and also divestment, human rights, and the like as well.
And why do you think screening is important in Sharia investing, or Sharia screening is important in investing?
I think, as Muslims, we're encouraged to, keep our income as pure as possible. And I think, given what kinds of companies operate in the world and what things that they're complicit in, I think we as believers in the Ummah should always be at the forefront of ethical screening, of making sure that what we're investing in is good for the world. And that's really a part of ihsan in earning, right? And so we want to spend for the sake of Allah. MashaAllah, the Muslim community gives so many donations and so on, but we also want to earn for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so therefore our investments should be really of the most pure, right? So that's what we focus on.
And how do you balance Sharia screening criteria and return on investment? How do you balance that dance?
Yeah, I think it's not something that I've had to balance a lot, because from the beginning, our investment portfolios have always been optimized for a Sharia universe. And because they're optimized for Sharia universe, we always end up getting better returns than running these strategies on a conventional universe. So it's not so much of a compromise, but there is a balance there, because you're of course foregoing certain opportunities in order to make a stand on your values as well. But alhamdulillah, the returns have been great, so we haven't really had to have a lot of compromise.
And of course, we can't talk about Sharia screening without talking about AI. What role do you see AI playing in Sharia screening?
Yeah, it's really, really important actually. AI is starting to make it easier to find up to the minute really data on what companies are doing in the world, what's in the news, what allegiances they have, and what kind of political statements that they're making. And so AI really can sift through a lot of public domain information and help us get an up to the minute ethics profile on a company that can move over time, right? And so I think AI is essential to the R&D, the research and development process of updating screens, as well as being able to sift such vast, enormous amounts of information, read it, compile it, and then categorize it into levels of complicity, for example.
And one sticking point question that a lot of people have is the cost-expense ratio within screening instruments or screening things like ETFs. How do you manage that?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think we're a technology-first platform, so a lot of that is done with the help of technology, making that a lot more scalable, so we can apply screens on like thousands of companies instead of having like a team of analysts historically that you would have to use to make Sharia judgments. You can actually do a lot with large language models now to get you to that endpoint. And then the way that we manage that workload is making sure that at any given point in time we're really focused on a few good deals. At any given point in time, there's only a few good deals in the market. So we concentrate our screening criteria on the good deals, and that helps us not waste a lot of time screening companies that may not be a good investment anyway.
Amazing. And how can people find out more about HalalStocks?
So just hit us up on Instagram, HalalStocksCo, and www.halalstocks.co, or find me on LinkedIn.
Amazing.